So let's start with the basics then. I always recommend two bots, Nightbot and Stream Elements. The reason you need two bots is because they do different things better than each other. And that's one of the things that we'll be covering as we go through these streaming sessions. So I find that Nightbot is really quite good for doing commands. It's very simple to do simple commands, and it's also capable of doing a lot of complex stuff as well. Yeah, you're not the worry, Ari. You're not the worry. So the other one that we've got is Stream Elements. And I recommend Stream Elements because it can do, that's what does all the loyalty, and it does the games. So you need Stream Elements if you want to do things like watch time and gambling, roulette, the 8-ball, you know, all of those kind of things. There's a whole bunch of modules that are tied into Stream Elements that you can turn on and off. The other thing that Stream Elements can do that Nightbot can't is it can do multi-word commands as well. So looking for phrases. Now I won't be covering that today, but that's something that I will want to talk about in one of the sessions. Yes, so other than Stream Elements, so really for the watch time, there's only really Stream Elements. I don't think any of the others focus on watch time and loyalty points, but there are a lot of other bots that you can use instead of Nightbot and Stream Elements. Some of those may have their own features that these two don't, but these two are enough to get anybody off the ground. So what most streamers want to get going is commands in the chat, games in the chat, loyalty, watch time, follow age, and then potentially you start doing things like overlays and alerts, which Nightbot can't do, but Stream Elements can. And so a lot of streamers will go to Stream Elements and start setting stuff up there because it's got a decent UI. It's quite good. It can do a lot of stuff. But Nightbot for me wins for commands for the most part because you can get it to execute JavaScript. So if you can write JavaScript, you can write more complex commands and feed them into Nightbot. The other thing that Nightbot's good at that I don't think Stream Elements can do, certainly not in the same way, is it can execute code from the internet. So you can put up JavaScript on a page, and then you can tell Nightbot to go and get that page and execute it. And those are the sorts of things I'm going to be covering probably later in the series. But today I just want to get through some of the basics before we play a couple of Fortnites and do a words on stream. So as you can see here in my chat, I have nobody in the community there. Nobody is watching this chat, and I have no bots in here. So if I type commands, nothing will happen. Okay, I don't have anything. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to get Nightbot. The way we do that is we go to nightbot.tv, and then there's a button up here that'll say add to chat. And there I have to sign in. Now the great thing about Nightbot is you can use it on Twitch, you can use it on YouTube, Trovo, what's this, Noise or Soup. It's not available for Kick, but you can use Nightbot on YouTube would be my alternative. Okay. So all we do is we say pick as provider. We're going to sign in with Twitch. I'm already logged in with Twitch in this window because I've got my mod view open here. This is my billable account. So I'm going to log in here with Twitch. We have to give it some permissions. So it says Nightbot will want to do all of these things here. I'm going to say, yep, I trust that. And then it's going to redirect me over to my Nightbot dashboard. Okay. Probably the first thing I'm going to do is switch that into dark mode because holy. Okay, and that's it. We've got Nightbot. We got a Nightbot dashboard now. So there's a whole bunch of things down the left-hand side that we can go and explore. Well, the first thing I want to do is make it join my channel. So in here, I don't have anybody in my community at the moment, but we want the chat. We want the bot to join the chat. So we click join channel. And off it goes. It'll now go and connect to, because it knows who I am. It'll go and connect to my chat. I've just given it all those permissions so that it can connect, and I can see here that it's online. There is a setting up guide, and I can get it to leave the channel as well. Okay, so for setting up, you have to go to your chat, you have to mod it, and then if that's done, then we're done. Okay. When we come to do the custom commands, I'll explain the user levels to you as well. So here we've got and again, in Nightbot, it says all commands, generally speaking, should begin with an exclamation mark, but they don't have to. Okay, the default commands do. That's what's there. So we've got exclamation mark commands. I'll zoom these in. But when we create our own commands, we don't have to do that. Okay, we can create anything to be a command, basically. You can even have it so that your emotes are commands, but a command always appears at the start of the line. That's the main thing to remember. So it has to be the first word of the line that's typed in the chat. So here we've got the default commands. We've got exclamation mark commands, which shows us that list. That gives us a link in the chat where anybody can go and they can see a list of all of the commands that are available for your chat. Okay, so we've got no commands in there at the moment, so we just get the bare basics. Okay, once we've got commands in, they'll appear in here. Regular users don't see the default commands. We have got exclamation mark commercial, so we can run an ad. If you're an affiliate or a partner, then you can run commercials. Okay, so I could type in my chat exclamation mark commercial and it'd run an ad. And you can specify whether you want that to be a 30-second, 60-second, or 90-second ad. We also have filters. So in the filters, there are, if we do exclamation mark filters, then you've got different types of filter that you can specify here. So we've got a blacklist where you can prevent certain words from appearing. I wouldn't use this. I would use auto mod and the Twitch features to do your blacklist. There's a caps one. So if you don't want everyone writing in all caps, you can filter that. Emotes, you can put a limit on the number of emotes that someone's allowed to use. You can turn on or off links in chat so that people can't post links. Repetitions and symbols. Okay, so if somebody's spamming the same thing repeatedly, you can give them a warning or time them out. Same with different symbols. The problem with the blacklist on Nightbot, in my opinion, is that it's difficult to manage from the chat, and I haven't really seen it working properly. Whereas if you're in mod view in Twitch, then it's very easy to create items in a block terms list. So as a moderator, I can go up to modes, block terms, and I can start typing in words here that I don't want people to use. And then if they do use them, then they will fall into the auto mod window down here. So when you're modding, you'll see things get caught here. And this allows you to catch anything that auto mod catches based on your moderation levels, or it can catch any caught terms, block terms, caught messages. And that's anything that you've got put in here. Okay, with the Nightbot one, if I do filters, blacklist, I've then got to enable it. I haven't got the up arrow, I haven't got FFC installed on here, which is, again, another conversation for another time. But if I say enable here, then I can enable the blacklist, but now I can't manage it easily. Okay, so It's not clear how you add things to it or how you replace what's there. It will take regular expressions, which is quite clever, but just generally speaking, it doesn't feel as if it's as user friendly. So I usually just leave that one off. And then the same for the others. You can do, so I would do filters. I can say caps disable, and that will disable the caps filter. So if somebody spams caps, that's fine. I don't mind. We can do the same thing for emotes. So I'd usually disable those so that people can spam emotes. I want to, for links, I want to enable the filter. Okay, so that's enabling the filter, not enabling the links, if you see what I mean. And then you can do repetitions, which again, if I'm not bothered about, I can have that disabled. And then the same for the symbols. I can disable that. Okay, and you can choose which ones you want to go on or off. It's entirely up to you. It depends how you want to manage your chat. So if you want the bot to stop people spamming caps, then you can enable that filter and you can set that up. The other way to do it is to come into here and you can hit the pencil. Where is it? I don't remember where you do it. There is I think there is only a way to do it through the chat, actually. For the blacklisting, and this says all filters can be managed through the spam protection menu or through the filters command. The spam protection menu, that's what I'm after. So that's here. So in the Nightbot dashboard, go down to chat moderation, and then you've got essentially those filters that we just talked about. We'll come to that in a second, Ari. I'll show you. So here I can turn things on and off. So we can stop excess caps. And then there's some configuration for that as well. So you can say limit, so the minimum number of caps that required to start the filter. And then how long do you want to time that person out for? So we can lower the timeout to 60 seconds. And we can exempt people as well. And that depends on your user level. So let's come on to user levels. First of all, you've got everybody in the chat. That's the everyone. That covers everyone. The next one that you've got here is subscriber. Extension tab on Chrome, yeah, a little bit. So then we've got the subscribers. That's anyone who's got a Twitch subscription. There's a regulars list, which you can maintain here on the left side of the dashboard under regulars. You can list people who you want to class as a regular, people who show up all the time that maybe aren't subs, maybe not VIPs, but you will potentially want to give them a little bit more access to stuff. You can set commands to be available for regulars, or you can exempt regulars from certain filtering. Then you've got your VIPs, Twitch VIPs, Twitch moderators, and then you are the owner as the broadcaster. So you can say, okay, I'm going to allow my VIPs to spam excess caps, okay, and they won't get the timeout. If you want to put a timeout message, you can turn that on. If you don't want one, you can turn it off. If you leave this box blank, you'll get a random message from a selection of quotes that are built into Nightbot, or you can type your own into here. So you can do, please don't shout. Take off caps lock, for example, and then that would appear whenever somebody gets caught by this filter. That would be the message that gets put into the chat. Okay, I'm going to leave it blank for now. Again, for the disabled words, for the blacklist, you can put words in here. You can put wildcards in. There's an import feature where you can import words from something else. Yeah, similar sort of UI. You get to pick a user level who's exempt, and then you get to pick a length of time for the timeouts. So depending on what you put on your blacklist, you might want to make that a little bit more strict or not. Okay, and everything else is fairly straightforward. All the screens look roughly the same. If you've got a lot of repetition, minimum percentage of repetition, so how close to the lines have to be before it's counted as repetition. What's the timeout that I want to give for them repeating? What level is exempt from that? And do I want to have a timeout message? If I turn off the timeout message, they'll get timed out, but they won't get a message about it and to explain why. Sup, Rap? How you doing? Thanks for coming through. We're just talking about modding with Nightbot. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I got what I wanted. I got some emotes out of it. I got it after 6 days, actually, because, well, you're supposed to be able to do 7, you got to stream on 7 days, but by doing streams over midnight, I actually did 6 streams, and they all went over midnight, so the first one and the last one essentially counted as my 1st to 7th day. So I actually got the notification about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon on day 7. So I thought I was going to have to go live for the 7th night, and I didn't. I managed to get it in 6 nights, 7 days. So that would have been the 14th was the affiliate day. And then I've streamed most nights as well since, just doing a couple of hours from, it's 11 till 1 my time, which is about 6 till 8 yours. So yeah, Ari's learning how to become, he's my mod apprentice. Just doing some stream talk here. So there's various filters here that you can go through. You can turn these on, turn these off, and that's all wonderful stuff. Back on that regulars one, you can give a list of users here and say, okay, who are my regular viewers? Here we go. I can make Rapper a regular, for example, and then whenever he comes in the chat, he'll be treated as a regular, and whatever commands I create that regulars can use, he'll be able to use. But if something is set as a moderator, then he won't, or a VIP, he won't. So that's back to the default commands then. We got things like game, where you can change the game. So at the moment I've got that set to just chatting, but we could have that as Fortnite. You can put whatever else you've got, pick the game. It looks up whatever you type in the Twitch directory and tries to match to the closest game that it's got available. The games that are loaded into Twitch come from the Internet Game Database, IGDB. So it's a bit like the Internet Movie Database, IMDb, but it's for games. And that's where they get the game titles from. So that allows you, and again, this one, it's set to everyone. That doesn't mean everyone can change the game. It means that everyone can see what game you're playing. So if you're in my chat now and you type !game, it'll let you know that we're playing just chatting. Okay, if you're a moderator or higher, then you'll be able to change it by passing a parameter. So if you do !game space Fortnite, it shouldn't change anything. It should just spit out the same thing because you're not a moderator. Okay, but if a moderator or the streamer does it, then it would change the game to Fortnite. Okay. So that's quite useful to have your mods manage make sure that you're in the right gaming category. Marker is turned off by default, as you can see here. But this is a way of making a marker on the stream so that you can come back to it later. Marker is a feature of Twitch that Nightbot can then hook into, and as you're streaming, you can create a marker, and it'll bring you essentially when you review your VOD, you can come back and you can see the markers on your stream, and then you can easily find things. It's essentially another kind of way, like clipping. You know how you've got a clip command at the moment, or you can use clip on the stream. The clip command will only do 30 seconds. If you click the button on the screen, you can do a minute, but there might be something where you want to remember where you were up to and go back and clip, maybe a full game, right? So a 10-minute game, for example. And you can use markers for that. So if you just had an absolute kick-ass game, then you can place a stream marker in using ! marker. And then when you're reviewing your VODs, or your editor is reviewing your VODs, they can see these markers and they can go back and see what was happening at that time. Only mods can make markers on here. Then we got the poll functionality. So we can run ! poll, and there's some documentation there about how you would do that. And that will create essentially what you do, zoom this in a bit more. You see in this, ! poll, new, and then you give it a title, and then use the pipe to separate the different options that you want. So, should I play reload? Yes, no, would be options. And you use that vertical bar to split them. You need at least 2 options for a poll, but you can actually have up to 30 on this one. Okay, so example here is ! poll, new, should I bake pizza? Yes, no, maybe. And that will return this output here. And it's going to send you off to this website, strawpoll.com, where you can then log your results, so everybody votes. And then if you come back into the chat and do poll results, then it will show the counts of that. So it's basically an integration into strawpoll.com. Twitch now has its own polling, which I would probably prefer. So you can turn that off if you want to, or you can leave it on. Okay. This is down to the regulars. So there's a feature, as I said, where you can add or delete regulars to your stream. So we can do that through the chat. If I wanted to do something like ! regulars, and then I could put the name in, I could do something like that. I need to add, first of all, so it'd be add, do that. Yep, and then I could add you as a regular, but you're already there as a regular because I did this already. Okay, if we want to remove you from that, then we can say delete, and then it takes you out of the regular list. Okay, and again, that's just used for different permissions. So we can have commands that maybe we don't want everybody using, but we want to give regulars that permission. So let's put you back on the list as well. Regulars is an amazingly underused feature. I don't think I've seen any streamer who's really using it. I think that's quite powerful to give you a level between everyone and VIP. Cracking on through these then, there's a songs link. So there's the ability to provide, to request songs on stream. Now, the way that the songs works is the broadcaster, the streamer, needs to have this song request tab open. And you also then need to have desktop audio shared, or at least have the audio shared for this browser tab. And the songs play at the bottom here in this little control. And then when somebody requests one, it will appear in the queue. So the current song will finish and then it will play the next one in the queue. If there's nothing in the queue, then it falls back to a default playlist, which you can set in here. And you can say, I want my default fallback playlist to be either Monster Cat, Twitch Music Library, or you can specify some channel defaults. Okay. Monster Cat and the Twitch Music Library are essentially music that's authorized for playing on Twitch. It's copyright free, so you're safe to play that on stream. Hi Cozy, we're just doing a mod stream. How are you? How's your Monday been? So that's the songs command where people can then control the songs. You can add and remove things to the list. Again, if we go and look at the documentation here, you can view the current song. You can delete queued songs. You can get a list of the songs. You can see what the next, move on to the next one, or see what the next one will be. You can request them. Again, this one collides with potentially with the filtering of links. So if you've got Twitch set up so that it won't allow links to be posted, or if you've got Nightbot configured so it will time out people who use links, then you can't put a YouTube link in here in the chat because it's going to get blocked. Okay, so if you are going to do song requests on stream, you need to just go and tweak those other options. Hope the games go well, then Cozy. When do you finish school? Is it on Friday? My kids break up on Friday and they've got a week off. They're going away with a mom. I'm going to stay here working. You finished today? Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, happy Bill. I get a week. Well, basically a week. They're away Monday to Thursday, and then their mom's got to go to a funeral on the Friday, so I'm going to have them on the Friday while they're off. But that's fine. It's a GG. I'll have missed them. I just got an alert. Oh, there we go. Ad time. Does that mean I got to run an ad, or does it run it automatically? That's my question. So let's try this then, because we are going to go into ads in a second. Let's see here. I'll work out how to run this baby by playing ad. Let's do that. Okay, so I need an ad. How long do we got to run it for? 30 seconds. And there it goes. Awesome. I hope you both ad free. You got an ad blocker. Fantastic. That's awesome. All right then. So yeah, if all the stars align, then you can do song requests. So you can request a song, or you can delete that. You can skip the current song. Again, these you could you can pause, you can play, you can promote. So move it up. It looks like you can even change the volume as well. So yeah, lots of options there for this little song request gadget. Tags as well. Tags is turned off by default, but tags is a way of just putting those tags under your stream. So when you start upstream, you get prompted for your category and your tags. My tags, if you look at my stream, should be English, Gen X Gamer Dad, Gen X Gamer Dad 0 build Fortnite, Reload 0 builds. You can add more to that. There's a list that it suggests when you try and add a tag. You can have up to 10 tags, and each tag can be 25 characters long, no spaces or special characters. This is disabled by default as well. So typically the streamer would decide on their tags, but if you wanted to give the mods the ability to change the tags, then you could do. Same with the title. So in the same way that game worked before, title will do the same thing. Anybody should be able to type !title, and it'll show the stream title. But if you're a moderator, you'll be able to do title space and then what you want the title to change to, and then the mods can update the title. And then finally, there is one which is about giveaways. So you can, as a moderator or above, you can, if you want to do a giveaway, you can type !winner. And I won my own giveaway. Fantastic. The difference between, and now we're going to another ad break. Great. The difference between !winner and using the giveaway feature of Nightbot, which we can show you, is that winner just picks somebody who's spoken in the last 10 minutes. Whereas the giveaways one, you've got more control over it, so you can specify different options. So let's go and take a look at those then. We go into here under giveaways. Yeah, we can reject those cookies. That's fine. So what this is doing is it's opening up the stream chat here on the side. And then I've got 3 different types of giveaway that I want to create. So I can go with just anybody who's active in chat becomes part of the giveaway. So if I go in here and go whatever, like that, then that should appear, I appear here, and that would put me in the list of active chatters. Yes, I agree, Ari. I agree for certain. And the next type of giveaway you've got is a keyword giveaway. So if I specify a keyword, everybody who types the keyword in the chat gets added into the giveaway, and then I can roll it at the end. That's what most streamers are using. Okay. The third option is a random number. So we can take a look at that, but essentially everybody in chat has to guess a number, and depending on, yeah, take care, Cozy, thanks for the tab. Everybody who anybody who types the random number, the first number, ends up being the winner. So let's try the active chatters one first of all. I can say who gets to participate, so I can exclude certain people. So I could say not viewers, but we can allow regulars, VIPs, subs, and mods. Or I can say don't let my mods take part. Or I can say only viewers, not mods. I can take the VIPs out. I can take the regulars out. I can take the subs out. Yeah. So you can pick any combination of these and say who can participate. I'm just going to let everybody in this one. This one, because it's an activity one, says how long do I want to look back at the chat to see who's eligible. So this is looking back 10 minutes. This is essentially the same yeah, g'day, Cozy. This is essentially the same configuration as we'd have if we were doing the exclamation mark winner. No, it's not. No. So when Ship is doing sub games, that's a different bot. It's called Play with Viewers bot. We can cover that another day as well, because I have that in my main chat as well. But Play with Viewers bot is a separate one. It's looking for the join keyword. It's got queue control that the mods can manage, and Ship also pays for the premium version of it, so he gets more features there as well. So he can do things like sub only, right? So it will ignore viewers and only look at subs. But that's all different to this. He doesn't run any of that through Nightbot. We can have a chat announcement. We can change the luck that different levels of people have. So we can say that subscribers get double the luck, right? Or we can say that VIPs get 3 times the luck, right? So all of this is riggable to some degree. And then when we click done, then it will put anybody in who matches the criteria. So it hasn't matched me because I'm the broadcaster, it's my giveaway. But when Cozy came through, Cozy gets added in here as so Twitch is rigged. Yeah, it could be. UL, somewhat. You can rig it. So Cozy's come in, and then essentially everybody types, and then at the end when you're ready, you click choose a winner, and it will pick somebody from this list here. What's also interesting with these is that you can untick people, okay? Which is what streamers don't usually talk about and hopefully don't do, but potentially when they're doing a giveaway, they can take people out. That can be useful legitimately if you're doing 2 or 3 giveaways at once and you don't want the person who won the last giveaway to be entered into the next giveaway. So then you could uncheck them. Okay. But it also means that in some cases, if you've got a streamer who's a bit of a character, they could go through and they could pick out people that they don't like and uncheck them, right? So again, unless the streamer is showing it on stream, you never really know how much you can trust them. Okay. So we can go back and change the options if we want to. We can say, okay, let's do a keyword giveaway instead. Everybody's allowed in. What is the key phrase that you must type in to join, right? So we might say type win in the chat, and we can put win in there, yeah, or type join or type whatever. Okay. This could be something to do with your stream. So I might say, you know, type surf in the chat or something like that. There's an option to remove spammers. So if somebody keeps typing it over and over again, they will become ineligible to win. It will take them out because they've been spamming it. Okay. Unique winners is an option where it won't pick the same person twice. Chat announcement lets you know when the giveaway is starting and finishing. I think spamming is actually twice. So if you did it more than once, then I think it takes you out. Again, one of the things that we've got here is this wonderful Nightbot documentation, which if we were to go through and have a look at this, we could probably work it out. So that's the giveaways page. Yeah, it's not really documented. Yeah. The keyword allows users to become eligible for entering a keyword. Anti-spam options can make users ineligible for repetition of the keyword. That's all it tells us. I believe it's twice or more than twice. It's quite low. And then you've got the announcements and the luck. Okay, final one here is a random number. So pick a range of numbers, and essentially the first person to type the correct number that it generates wins. Okay, so I say off we go. Well, maybe we shouldn't have done 100. We might have done something a bit smaller and it would have been better. But if people guess now, let's go back, let's do this and put, I don't know, 5. Okay, so then somebody's got to guess the right number. So is it 1? I don't really want to log into that one. I'll do it in the other one. I've lost my window. Hang on a second. It's here. That's what I'm looking for. 1. Not 1 then. Or maybe because I'm the broadcaster, I'm ineligible, right? So it could be 3 or 4 or 5. Yeah, I'm ineligible because I'm the broadcaster. That's essentially what it's saying. Okay. But yeah, you can run that giveaway. Let's reset that. Go back here. Where are we? Back. Good. So if I picked active chatters, looking back 10 minutes, it's not gone back and picked cozy for whatever reason, but you get the idea, right? So you can run a giveaway, you click choose a winner, and then it will pick somebody from the list. So as I say, the quick and dirty one is !winners, which will do the same kind of thing. Yeah. Take the cigar out of your own box. Treat yourself. So now that we've got that boring bit out of the way, let's go make some new commands. So what can we do when we create a new command? Well, we have to give it a name. So I don't know what I want to call my command. Again, usually I could do ! something. Okay. So if I did ! test, okay, and the answer could be this is a test, and then I get to pick who can use that command. So let's say everyone. And then under the advanced options, I can specify the cooldown so that it doesn't get spammed. And I can also create an alias. So I can say that this is an alias of another command. So I'm just going to create that as it is. I've now got a test command. When we go over to the chat and type !test, Nightbot will respond with, this is a test. Okay, that's really basic stuff there. Okay, as I said earlier, yeah, and it's dead quick. It's really easy to use. As I said earlier, you don't have to put something with an exclamation mark if you don't want to. So this is one that we're going to do in a little bit more detail in probably the next stream. I might go into a bit more detail in the 3 ways that we can create a hello command. But this one, for example, if I just put, instead of exclamation mark something in the name, I can just put a word. So I'm going to go with hi, and I'm going to have it respond with hello there. Again, we don't have to touch the advanced options here. We can just create that. And now when I go back over to the stream and I type hi, Nightbot will respond with hello there. Okay, really simple stuff. You can take one of these commands or any command, and if you put /me at the beginning of it, then that essentially allows you to take away the any name at the beginning, so that it's basically a way of emoting in chat, right? Just like that, and it puts it in italics for you. So now if I go in here and I do my hello, you can see that it does it in italics. So what we really want, though, is to enhance this, is we want this to greet the user as well. Okay, and so in here, we can use variables, and the variable for the username is $user. Okay, so when we now go and run that, and we go hi, it'll say hello there and the user that you spoke to. Okay. Now, we can also do more with that as well, because you can also pass a parameter, which is called toUser. Okay, and I might say something like that. Okay, so what this is doing is when somebody types, for example, hi, Cozy, Nightbot will say, hello from me too, Cozy. But if somebody says just hi with no parameter, then it'll give the current user instead. Okay, hello from me to Bill. Okay. So you can pass a parameter in there as if you're talking to somebody. Okay. You'll have seen that when we've done things like in chat, we might have the friendly stream sniper command. And there we do toUser. Ship doesn't like any stream sniping, even friendly. Yeah, so you do something like that. And then what we'd find is when somebody says, can I stream snipe you? You do FSS, loving, and say loving. Ship does not like any stream sniping. So you can see that that parameter that gets put in is then put into the command. And if you don't specify it, then it uses the user who's typing the command. Okay, you can build that into various other scenarios where you can pass those variables in. So we're getting there a little bit, right? So again, anything that you can think of, let's have a lurk command. Thank you for the lurk $user. Yeah. And then we can lurk. Yeah. And you can see why sometimes when you're, if you do the /me and you get it in italics, it makes it stand out a little bit better or hide a little bit better in chat. So it doesn't look as, it doesn't look like just a regular person chatting. Okay, so maybe it helps a little bit when you're reading through chat. You can ignore anything in italics, basically. Okay, and yeah, you can just keep building it up. So really then, your commands are only limited by your imagination in this case. So we can pass users in. The other thing we can do is we can pass in different a different order of variables as well. So I don't have a good example for this one, but let's have a command called juggle, or let's call it shuffle. Okay. There we can say something like shuffling, and then we can do positional parameters. Okay. So if we did 5, 3, 2, 4, 1. Let's get it typed. Okay. What this is going to do is take each of the words that I type up to the first 5, and it would rearrange them in this order. Okay. So there, if I did shuffle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would see 5, 3, 2, 4, 1. Okay, so you can make something of essentially that's just a way of showing that you can use $1, $2, $3 as different parameters, right? And maybe you don't want to always get the first word, you might always want to get the second word, or the third word, depending on the type of command that you're writing. So you've got these numbers where you can, and I think it goes to 9. I think you do 1 to 9 as parameters that you can pass into the command. Okay, and if we want to know more about what different variables we've got, there's a variables list in here. So the one that we were looking at there was user and toUser, but you can also pass in various other different things. Okay, one that you've seen is count. Let's talk about count briefly. So if I have a new command, which is going to be, what do we do? Mixer, /me $count people, remember ship from mixer. Okay, we create that one. So now when we run the mixer command, where is it? Sorry, exclamation mark mixer, in fact. 1 people, remember ship from mixer. Okay, but every time I run it, it'll give me the next number. 2 people. Yeah, and that's just a counter, right? So we've done various things with that. We've done AFK. Yeah, so with the AFK one, we've done things like Lovin has fallen off the bus, $count times, not like this. And you'll see I can also put the word of an emote in there, and as long as Nightbot is eligible to use that emote, then you can use that in commands. That's why Nightbot needs to be a sub to your stream to use your emotes. So you'll build your command and it will work for you, but then you put in Nightbot and it won't work for Nightbot because Nightbot isn't a sub. Okay, so for our AFK now, Loving has fallen off the bus 1 times. Loving has fallen off the bus 2 times. Okay. 3 letters and I can't get them right. 3 times. 4 times. Okay. Aiden is point checking me in Shipstream at the moment. So if you want to know anything else about any of these, there's more info links. So the arguments one that I was just describing there gives you the variables 1 through 9. That would print the third argument. So that was what I'd used in the shuffle command. Channel gives us the current name of the channel. So you can do things like watch, which might say, thank you for watching, can't type today, watching $channel. What's the thing called? Is it Pride Heart? I can't remember what the heart emote's called. Yeah, he's got the M. It should increment every time you do !M. So now in the watch one, you can see that that's working and it says, thank you for watching Billable. And that's because that's this channel. Yeah, I think there's a 4-second cooldown on the chat. So channel is quite a good one to have. Channel ID would get you, let's do this, channel ID, update that, and let's run the watch. Yeah, and that's going to give me that's the channel number that you get from Twitch, which tells you what channel this is. Okay, essentially it's just a number that counts up for every account that they create, and it's crazy that they're on whatever that is, 826 million accounts. Chat ID is the ID of the chat command. So if we do chat ID, again, I'm not really sure why I would use chat ID. I don't know what I could do with that one, but that gives me the, did that work? Let's look at this one. Oh, so this is a way of seeing a particular, this is primarily useful for bots, which may be used in multiple chats. Okay, so this is some sort of eval that they can do based on the chat ID. For me there, it didn't work. Even though I've got chat ID in here. It shouldn't be case sensitive because the other ones aren't. But that one, even in the example, it's lowercase. Let's update that. Yeah, so that's not, it's not giving me anything different to the chatter. The channel ID in this case. Maybe that's my ID. So because I am in my own channel, then it's using my own chat ID. But that might be useful, I guess, to try and work out who somebody is. Even so that you're not matching on the name, you could match on their chat ID. But then I don't know how you'd get their chat ID easily. So I don't know how I would get your chat ID, for example, to write a command that would only work for you. You see what I mean? So I don't know what I can do with that one, really. But count we've done. Count up, count down. They're what I use when we're using the season commands, for example. So I have if you type !S, this one, yeah, that uses the countdown commands, count up and count down, to say how far are we from a specific date. So when I build the command, I say chapter 6, season 3, that's season 35 of Fortnite, started, and then I give it the date, and then in brackets I do the count up, right? Count up from that date, and ends count down. to the date of the end of the season. Okay, so that's what count up and count down do. DJ Khaled is a command that, so if you do DJ and you say something like DJ Khaled once said, and then you do the DJ Khaled variable like that. Okay, we create that. And over here we do DJ invalid variable, probably because it's in quotes. Let's get rid of the quotes and see if that helps. No, doesn't like that. So I think maybe that one's gone away now, or there's something. This is what it should be. Maybe that one is case sensitive. I don't know. Let's try it. Oops. Let's try that. Yep, there you go. So that one's case sensitive. And again, that's doing a random quote from a database that Nightbot's got. Yeah, so you get different quotes every time you run it. Eval is my friend. I will cover that another time because that's quite complex to explain, and I'd have to do some copy and paste to get some good examples. But essentially it allows you to evaluate a piece of JavaScript code, and that is the power in Nightbot over Stream Elements, is that I can call some JavaScript. Okay, this one, for example, is a very simple one. In fact, we could even implement that. We could do, let's do some, okay, and then put that in and go over here and do sum. That gives us 4. So essentially we've taken some JavaScript. In this case, it just adds 2 plus 2, eval 2 plus 2, and the result is 4. How are you doing, Flu? Happy Monday. What's happening? It was indeed. Well, that was Java as well, right? Java was the coffee one. JavaScript was Netscape's implementation of a scripting language to rival Java. I feel that, Flu. I had an accidental boomer nap this afternoon at work. That wasn't good. So I got to work late tonight. Yeah, I've got an hour to make up. I've got an early meeting tomorrow morning at 9. So yeah, it's GG's. I need to sort my body clock out. What's keeping you up? What's making you sleepy? Are you burning the candle at both ends and staying up too late, or are you just working too hard? Okay, so here's some cool ones that we can play with as well. Examples in the chat there. This one is going to give us an 8-ball command. Okay, so you can ask the 8-ball, will I sleep well tonight? It is decidedly so. Okay, so this is looking at the response that what we've said is commands add 8-ball, then it's going to spit out the 8-ball icon, then it's going to do an evaluate statement, and everything in here, so it defines an array of responses, and then it says give me a random response based on the length of the number of responses that we have. So how many elements do we have in this array? Yeah, and it does a random number. Random number comes back as a number, a floating point number between 0 and 1. And this essentially rounds it to give me a result out of this list. So that's what the multiple is for. So if there are 8 entries in the array, math.random will give me a number between 0 and 1. It'll multiply that by 8, and then we take the floor of that. So if you're good at JavaScript, that's okay. Long weekend, tired from that? Yeah. Okay. Hopefully it was a fun long weekend, not a bad long weekend, but yeah, you need to get your sleep. Catch up this week, Flu. So, 8-ball. Because again, you got to go with the yes/no questions, right? Will I find love? Concentrate and ask again. Okay. My sources say no. Oh, GG's. Ouch. All right, so I'm deleting it, 8-ball, for that. My life is over. So the Bill's rip. Yeah. So the catch is with this, with the eval, is that your code has to execute fairly quickly. Execution timeout is 1 second. So if your script takes more than 1 second to run, then it will error. Okay. You also need to take care with injections. So if you're taking input from the chat, then you need to sanitize that. You need to take care that people aren't going to put stuff inside your variables. Okay. So in this example here talks about how your if you've got this upper command, it will evaluate that and try and uppercase the query. But there's a way that you could then put stuff in and have it execute changes with Nightbot, right? So you have to make use of these things called decode URI component and the query string. And that will prevent people from doing stuff that they shouldn't be able to do, hopefully. So you need to take especially good care when you're using the eval, okay? The good thing about this is the code doesn't run on your PC or your device, so it's not like they can hack you through this, but they can make changes that Nightbot could change. So as it says here as an example, they could change your title because Nightbot is a moderator. So they could put stuff in that could run as Nightbot and make changes. Along with that, query and query string passes what you've written after the command. So if you've written, as we said there in like the shuffle command, for example, we could take the whole query, everything that they typed, and pass that somewhere. Okay. Weather is a good example of where we use that one. So you can pass the query that they put into the weather command and go and look up the weather for that location. Yeah, you don't have to worry about how many words it is. So if they type Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is 3 words, rather than just Ohio, yeah, you don't have to worry about passing parameters 1 to 9. You just pass query. And then the weather command will go and look up the weather in that location. Similarly, you've then got query string, which is a way of encoding the URL or using URL encoding so that you get this encoding, right? So if you're trying to encode a URL, then query string is your friend. Most of these I've not looked at. So Rainwave, I know about Last.fm. I don't play League of Legends. I don't know what Rainwave is. Steam. The time one I've done before, so you can get time in a certain time zone, and you'll see in all of the chats that I mod, I've got a time command. It defaults to the streamer's time zone, but also takes a parameter. So you can pass in any of the valid time zones listed here, as a parameter into that, right? So if I wanted to know what the time is in this time zone, I can do !time, put the time zone in, and it will give me the time for that time zone. Okay, America, Winnipeg, for example. Yeah, you get the idea. That's right, because America's got 4 time zones to choose from, plus there's areas like Arizona that don't do daylight saving, and yeah, various different reasons for us to use the time command. And I think that's one of the most useful ones for all streamers to put in. The other one is the weather one. So again, the key there is don't dox yourself. So if you run weather in my chat, you'll get the weather for Manchester, which is, for all intents and purposes, close enough for government work, but is actually nowhere near where I live. Whereas I could do weather for London if I wanted, and you can pass parameters into that, right? And there I don't have to worry about the length of the whatever it is that I type, or the chatter types. Yeah, the weather command takes care of that for me. This Twitch one is useful. We'll dig into that at some point because I can build Twitch as a variable. So if I create a new one, let's call it, I'm going to call it foo, just because I don't want to use the word Twitch. That might be on cooldown. I don't know. Try again. Because I typed it twice, it might still be on cooldown. There we go. I think the weather command has a default cooldown. I've set it as a default cooldown of 30 seconds. I'll tell you what's clever is you can change the cooldown from chat. So I can edit the weather command, and then I can do hi coffee. It's modding Monday, not mod Monday, unfortunately. And you'd have to be a mod to join mod games. How are you doing, Coffee? How's Monday treating you? So I can do edit com weather minus CD for cooldown equals 5, and that'd change the cooldown for the command to 5. Again, same as going into the dashboard here, and under the advanced settings, I can change the cooldown for commands. So there's various attributes you can give to this Twitch command. If you've got to spell it right, though, that usually helps. That didn't work. So there's an incantation that I'd have to go and look in my notes and find. So if I want to get the display name of a specific channel, like my own, then I can do that. That gives me mine. Now you wouldn't think that's different to what you saw earlier with the channel, but the display name of the channel takes capitalization. So if I took here, instead of doing Twitch and looking at my channel, I might want to look at Bill the Surfer and get some information about Bill the Surfer's channel instead. And there you can see the capitalization is taken from the channel name. So here I wrote it all lowercase, but the display name property from Twitch is set up so it puts it in camel caps. So this Twitch feature is quite powerful as well, because there are other properties that you can get from it. I should probably have gone in here and got the details, but you can do things like look up when the account was created, or how long it is since it was created, how many viewers they have. Yeah. So I could do, for viewers, these have to go in the mustache. Yeah, I could say, how many viewers has Bill the Surfer got? Yeah, who I've got 5. So viewer count, I could do things like ship, and then from here, I can see that ship has 429 viewers right now. This is an interesting one as well. You can get the sub count. So if I was on my own channel, I'd be able to edit this, and I'd be able to get subscriber count as an option. Okay, but I can't do that for another stream. And this account isn't affiliate, so it shouldn't give me anything. Let's edit that and change that to sub count, just to show that we're not cheating. 2. There you go. Only the current channel's subscriber count can be checked. So if I was to take this, and instead of Bill the Surfer, I did channel, and update that, then do the command, you can see that I have 0 subs because I'm not an affiliate. Every command that I've written for everybody else started off in my chat. Some of them survived and are still there. Some of them I've cleaned up and deleted. Ships Mixer command started life in here, but I used this channel to test all of my commands before I went and let them loose on the other streamers' chats, because there's nothing worse than a mod who doesn't really know how to make a command and is sat in the streamer's chat while they're live trying to fiddle the command to make it work, and fills the chat with failed examples of how bad they are at being a mod. So one of the tips I have that I learned early on is you can use your own stream, your own chat. Even if you're not a streamer, you've still got your own chat. You've got your own Twitch account with dashboard and Nightbot, and you can do everything. Yeah, you don't need to be doing it over in the streamer's chat. So uptime length is another one. And regularly put uptimes. Ship's got an uptime one. So on this, I can query another channel if I want to. Do that in here, foo. That tells me that Bill the Surfer has been live for 1 hour 38 minutes, which matches what OBS says, so GG. So yeah, any of these strings here, we can use those in these brackets here, these mustache tagged brackets, parameters, as it says here, and you can combine them together. So you can see here that you've got that combination of getting the display name and the number of followers in one command. You put the whole thing into quotes with text in there, and that will spit out a result. So there we go. We've built a bunch of very simple commands there. We've shown how you can do the italics. We've shown how you can pass parameters. We can look at the current user. We can pass a user as a parameter. We've even looked at a very quick example here of JavaScript array, but I'll cover that in more detail when we go and do the hello stream.